This program is about unsolved mysteries. Whenever possible, the actual family members and police officials have participated in recreating the events. What you're about to see is not a news broadcast. In this episode of Battlefield 4 Unsolved Mysteries, a double suicide tears a city apart. However, police are suspicious of a homicide, not suicide. From clues left at the scene, an entertainer attempts a rather ordinary stunt of walking on hot coals, but dies from complications at the stunt. Who is to blame for this death? An all-inclusive resort is under heavy scrutiny due to the death of a construction worker while some renovations are taking place. A cleanup worker at the site of a casino demolition is found dead. Blunt force trauma is the official cause, but forensics say that another element was present. At a famous gulag in Russia, several UFOs have been reported flying over the jails. Are these alien encounters or protesters trying to distract authorities? Willis inmates escape. And finally, a famous interior decorator has passed away after a wallpapering job at a famous corporate complex. Foul play has been suspected. These stories next on Battlefield Unsolved Mysteries. In our first story, two best friends were found dead after apparent double suicide. The two jumped from their apartment on the 69th floor in a famous downtown area. A note was found at the scene indicating that the two were gay lovers but could not come out to the world or their families. Their only choice of action was to take their own lives. However, police are still investigating the scene and are now leaning towards homicide instead of suicide because the handwriting of the note could not be matched to either of the deceased. Outrage over a potential hate crime has ensued, and several LGBT groups are hiring private investigators in order to assist police in determining the true cause of the death for these besties. Is this a homicide or just a new twist on an age-old Romeo and Juliet ending? If you have any information on this story, please leave it down in the comments section. You've seen this trick before, someone walking over hot coals. This attempt, however, was different from the rest. The entertainer died later from complications of the stunt. This was something that he had performed many times before. What was different on this one? After the stunt, a routine of hot salt baths for the feet are necessary to smooth over the calluses formed from the burning. He was treated at a hospital but died due to infection from the wounds. The hospital is blaming the stunt team because an untested chemical was poured over the coals before lighting that was said to even out the temperature of the fire paths. Since it hadn't been tested before, the hospital blames this chemical for the complications and infection. However, the stunt team is blaming the hospital for botching the healthcare recovery process due to lack of resources. Some involved are also suspicious of a potential sabotage. If you have any information about this story, please leave it down in the comments section. Vacation spots often undergo renovations, but what happens when you don't have the permits necessary to do the job? A death is the result of poor planning and perhaps some employer negligence as police are collecting clues at the scene of the crime. The coroner indicates that an accident slip and fall is to blame, but investigators are claiming that this death could have been avoided due to the lack of permits to renovate. The building had such archaic materials in it that no ordinance could have issued a permit due to environmental concerns. However, corruption is suspect in the process. How would they be able to hire a team in order to renovate the buildings if they didn't have the permits? If you have any information, please leave it down in the comments section. Casinos are known for rebuilding from scratch, but a worker found dead at the site raises some questions. The autopsy reveals some blunt force trauma as the cause of death. However, the forensic scientists indicate that there is no possible way that any projectile in the demolition could have caused the type of force that would be considered deadly. Investigators are now pointing to the inhalation of various chemicals that were present in the building at the time of destruction being propagated into the air as the true cause of death. Other employees are now nervous that they will meet the same fate. Were these chemicals planted in there on purpose, or perhaps was it some more employer negligence? If you have any information about this case, please leave it down in the comments section. Several unidentified flying objects have been spotted in Russia over a famous gulag that is very controversial as the Sochi Olympics are set to begin soon. This prison holds many political activists that stand up against Russia's extremely idiotic anti-gay laws. Some say that these are not the doing of alien beings, but instead are from protesters trying to distract authorities while prisoners attempt to breach breach the walls of the prison. So far, no group has owned up to these objects, but as the story unfolds, we can begin to tell whether these are extraterrestrials or made from man. So far, only 3 prisoners have broken free from this tactic, with the COs cracking down on those persons that have attempted breaking out in the past. If you have any information about these suspicious objects, please leave it down in the comment section. And finally, famous interior designer Stuart Martha has been found dead after a wallpaper job in a famous corporate complex. Many say that the designer passed from old age due to repeated inhalation of paints and wallpaper glues. However, there are several disturbing clues left at the scene. A blood trail which is attempted to be covered up was found in the same room. However, police also found a workplace incident report of an accident drawing blood several weeks earlier, and a cleanup was attempted, and they also had a carpet replacement scheduled for next week. Rumors are churning that competitors of the business did not want the attention from the international celebrities, so a hit was put out on the designer. If you have any information on this or any of the cases presented in this episode, please leave it down in the comment section and maybe you can help solve a mystery.